Hello and welcome to this week's edition of The Olive Tree with me, Julia Fisher. Today I'm in Tel Aviv in a coffee shop talking to Nat Silverman. The coffee shop has recently opened and is run by a local congregation called Dugit, where the aim is to serve excellent coffee as well as providing a place to talk to people about Jesus, or Yeshua, as he's called in Israel. Nat has led the design team and now manages the coffee shop, which is situated on a busy street in Tel Aviv, where there are several other high-quality coffee houses. I asked him where the idea came from.
So we actually have to go back a few years, about 30 years or so, where we are right now was the original location of Dugit, where at that time it was owned by the Baptist community. And they had a few properties in the land that they were using for missions and outreach here. And so this was originally owned by the Baptists, and it was functioning as a bookstore, a Christian bookstore. And it was at that time that Avi Mizrahi had come to faith, come to know Yeshua as his Messiah, and he came here and started working for the Baptists. And a couple years later, the Baptists actually shut down the bookstore and were going to completely leave it. And Avi felt such a burden on his heart to do evangelism, and that this would have such a potential at that time, that he came to them with the proposal to take it on and continue the ministry here. And so that's how it started. And since then it has been as a bookstore, and then it was a bookstore gallery, and then it became a bookstore gallery with some live music. And it's also moved to other locations. It was on Brenner Street, and then it was on Ben Yehuda Street. And then God has miraculously brought us back to this place while providing all the funds to also do the renovations. And the idea of coffee was actually started on Ben Yehuda, when we were on Ben Yehuda Street. And we saw that people really were coming in for the coffee more than anything else, more than the books or anything else. And around the coffee, we were able to develop conversations. And so when we were strategizing about what kind of front we should have for this place, it was very clear that we should go for a coffee house. That would provide an element of art so that people can display their art. And of course, the live music, which draws in so many Israelis from around the city. They just absolutely love music. And so that's what we see here now. There's a coffee shop with art that is displayed, and we have live performances from time to time here by believing artists from around Israel.
We've been sitting in the coffee shop, enjoying the coffee, looking at the pictures. The artists who are showing their work, who are they?
So that's an interesting point. The artists that perform, they're all believers in Yeshua. However, some of the artists that they display their artwork, they're not believers, but we allow them to display it only on times and have openings when we have believing people playing. And so we have the mix. They know that we believe in Yeshua, and they have full knowledge of that, and it actually provides us an opening to actually converse with them even more and say, so they're like, yeah, we want to show our artwork, but we tell them, hey, listen, you sure you want to show your artwork? We are a messianic believing coffee shop here. Okay, we're an outreach center. Are you sure? Yeah, we want to show it, and we want to do, and so we had one guy, he said, listen, I want to invite all my friends, and I want to invite all kinds of people, and I want to show them the artwork. I said, well, that's fine. Just as long as you tell them that we believe in Yeshua, and that this is what we're doing, and that we're doing, different humanitarian works around the city. And so he did that. And so all of a sudden, all of these people, there was about 50 people there that night, and they all heard that we believe in Yeshua, and they were all able to ask questions. Some of them asked questions, okay, what does that mean, a messianic believer? I thought that you were, those weirdos, and so they're actually meeting and getting to interact. And so it brought in even more people from the outside that we could have even brought in, because he brought in all his friends, so it provided a whole new outreach opportunity for us.
I was amused that you also welcome people with their dogs. Is that, why is that?
So Tel Aviv is a dog city, a dog lover city. I don't know if you've gotten to walk around the city, but there's signs everywhere for picking up the dog remains, what the dog does on the sidewalk, and they provide different bags around the city. And if you go to any restaurant around here, there's always like a little pail of water outside so that the dogs can eat from it or drink from it. And so when we were discussing about if we should allow dogs in, we decided that we should also allow dogs in because we don't want to prevent their owners from coming to know the gospel just because of their dog.
It seems that here in Tel Aviv, people are very intrigued by what you believe. Is this part of everybody has an identity, or what is it? Why do people want to talk to you about what you believe?
I think it goes back to the social basis that we have here, and it's just that we're all supposed to be very open. And so you'll hear about a lot of stories. People that live in Tel Aviv, they're constantly searching, whereas in Jerusalem, you'll find a lot of them think that they have the answers. So it's a different type of evangelism here. It's a lot of people that they're dealing with issues, more self issues, and they've come to identify with that. And so they see you as a person, and they're like, well, what do you believe? Well, what are you going through that I'm going through that we can identify on? And how are you going through it? Are you using some Krishna, some weird cultic thing, or what do you believe? And then you say, oh, I'm a Messianic Jew. What is the Messianic Jew? What do you believe in Yeshua? And so I think people can identify with just being a person here, and because the culture is so open, they're very open about their questions to you.
And when they hear that you believe in Yeshua, are they more intrigued or do they pull back?
You get both. But for the most part, they're like, that's cool. A lot of them will be like, what does that mean? Or they'll be like, oh, I looked up on Wikipedia. That the next time you'll see them, and they'll be like, I looked up on Wikipedia and I saw that there was this whole write-up about Messianic Jews. It's very interesting. Do you guys do this, this, and this? And we're like, maybe, yes, no, And so it provides another opportunity. A lot of times they'll just be like, oh, that's cool. But that they're going to go back and try to check it out and do their own research and then come back with more questions. We have a couple of people that they come here on a regular basis, and they get involved in very philosophical and theological debates. I wouldn't call them debates, but discussions with some of our staff here. And they're not arguments. They're asking genuine questions about faith and about philosophy that they've come up with through their research.
So you say you've got staff here. Presumably you've had to really train people to make A, good coffee, and B, know how to interact with anybody coming in off the streets. They could be religious, they could be secular.
So our staff undergoes a rigorous training both on the evangelism side, and then we do briefings and debriefings, I would say twice a month with the staff here on the evangelism side. Like, how can we develop more? What can we do better? How can we reach the people more with the gospel? And then on the professional side, I would say, providing the coffee, because our goal is to provide a high quality item. One, because we have quite a nice competition surrounding us, and two, if we're to be a light and really show people excellence, this is one of the ways that we can do it. Also, customer service and so on and so forth. And so we provided training also for some of our staff here to learn about the different elements of coffee making and baristas, and to be a barista basically. And just kind of creating a love for coffee, because a love for Jesus they already have. It was kind of developing that love for coffee that needed to be developed, because this is a culture that is so adamant that they want to drink good coffee. But everybody here has their own opinions about what that means about good coffee, so you got to know what you're talking about when you're talking about good coffee.
Have you encountered much opposition?
We've encountered, I would say, little darts here and there. We've been trying to, I don't know if you noticed, but this whole patio area is empty. And so just a little bit of opposition from some people regarding the patio area from the city and regulations and building codes and whatnot, and trying to work within those boundaries that are set by our government. And so because we want to do everything above board and to the law, to the letter of the law, it holds us up.
Finally, I just wanted to ask you, so you've opened, you've established it, you've got people coming in, you're busy. Do you have any plans for the future? How do you see things developing?
Well, as we believe and as we know, our God is much bigger than any of our plans that we could ever have. So we can dream and we can do, but He's the one that actually makes it possible and makes a way for it to happen. And so what we're looking forward to is just opening a constant season here of live music, so that it's happening more frequently. And in the long run, well, God is great. So who knows? Maybe we'll open up more and more little lighthouses, little Dugits around Israel. But for now, we're going to concentrate right now on making this successful, both on the evangelistic side and also on the professional side.
You've been listening to Nat Silverman, a Jewish believer talking about the new coffee shop opened by a local congregation in Tel Aviv. The Olive Tree Reconciliation Fund is a Christian charity based in the UK that supports the needs of both Jewish believers and Arab or Palestinian Christians living in Israel and the wider Middle East. If you'd like to know more about our work through our bi-monthly newsletter, including news about our upcoming tours, please either visit our website www.olivetreefund.org or write to me, Julia Fisher, OTRF, PO Box 402, Billingshurst, RH 14 4BQ in the UK. Meanwhile, join me at the same time next week for another story from the Olive Tree. Until then, goodbye.